couch cam. Alright, here we go.
And I'll let you know when to start playing. Hey, welcome to Insomniac Live. It is Monday, March 18th, and we have a very special stream today because we are visited by a stream-running legend in the Ratchet and Clank and stream-running communities. We have Xem here on the couch with us, and he's going to perform some of his runs. We'll see who stops by from the studio today. Xem, how's it going?
It's going pretty well.
You were out here in California this weekend.
That I was. I was here for a speedrunning event called Calithon. It was a charity event that was benefiting Direct Relief. It was a really good time. It was, just a really great experience getting to hang out with a bunch of other speedrunners.
And now you're here in Burbank.
Now I'm here.
We haven't even gotten to give you the tour yet. We've been trying to get everything set up and going, but you're in the house where Ratchet was built.
Yep.
You're going to show us how broken Ratchet is. It'll be hilarious and awesome and awe-inspiring. And then we'll give you the tour after we're done streaming. But I already see the chat is blowing up. I can't even keep up with it. And we also have Justin here on the couch. Corey's out today. He'll be back later this week. We got GDC this week. It's a crazy week. Live streaming and all that other stuff. If you're ready, so let's tell everyone, what are we going to do today?
So the plan of attack, I'm going to let you guys know in advance that I did sprain my wrist last week. You can see my industrial wrist brace here that I got from the doctor.
Playing injured.
Yeah, so what I figured is I would start with what's most comfortable for me and then kind of work my way to the stuff that's a little bit less comfortable. In case I can't continue, it's a lot easier to take stuff out than it is for me to, do anything else. And so I'm going to be starting with Ratchet 3. We're going to be doing a category called New Game Plus No Quit Exploit. And I don't have a file ready to show you the quit exploit, but I think you guys... I'll give you guys the lowdown on quit exploit later, but it's really stupid. So I'm not going to be doing that in this category. So I'm going to be doing NG Plus No Quit Exploit, and then maybe showing off one or two other things in Ouya. And then I'm going to be moving to Ratchet 2. I'm going to be doing New Game Plus. That's the 9-minute category. And then I'm going to showcase one or two extra things in Ratchet 2. And then I'm going to be moving on to Ratchet 1 New Game Plus. So for those who are unfamiliar with speedruns, New Game Plus means challenge mode. So you have all the weapons, all the gadgets that carry between playthroughs. Some people who are not really that familiar with speedruns might think that it's a little cheap, but you'll see it really opens up a very wide range of movement and exploits that we wouldn't otherwise have in the standard new game categories.
Cool. So we're going to switch the game on the screen here, and I will read the chat as we go, and we'll get started here.
Whoops, I loaded the wrong file, but that's okay.
And we also have, I will say we probably have some mild input lag because our setup was so gigantic, so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Mild input delay.
I was telling guys I'm used to running on a 1 millisecond monitor because I'm spoiled. And this is a standard HD TV. So there's going to be a couple frames of input lag. Nothing that's going to really cause any fires or tremendous hardships for me. But, I might mess up a couple things here and there just because I'm not used to the timing. So just bear with me. It's also a nice little excuse in case I just mess up. So we're going to load up a file here on Veldin. And the reason I'm doing this, there's a couple reasons why I don't want to go straight into it. There is a cutscene that happens only on the very first time you visit Veldin whenever you turn on your PlayStation. So this cutscene right here will never play again on Veldin any other time that I have the PS3 active. And I was telling these guys that there is menu storage in this game. So what I'm doing is I'm setting up a menu so that I can just kind of, rip through all the inputs very quickly as soon as I start the run.
Is this in German?
This is in German. Okay, so we did a lot of testing, and we found out that German is 3.7 seconds faster than English. And the reason why it's faster is that on Hollistar Studios, there's a bit of unskippable dialogue at the very beginning when the director is saying things to you, and he just speaks way faster in German.
Got it. So it actually is faster. You get a faster time because you played in German.
Yes. We originally thought that Spanish was the fastest language. That was before we had tested German. Turns out German is 0.2 seconds faster than Spanish.
That's awesome.
So if you're playing on an actual PS2, everyone's trying to track down like German discs.
Yeah. I think it does exist on the PAL version, but the problem is that there's a whole lot of stuff I can get into, but PAL PS2 is significantly slower than NTSC because of the 50 hertz refresh rate.
Got it.
All right, so we're gonna begin. And so the way that we normally time this, obviously we don't have a timer here. I'm just gonna run through, which kind of helps keep the stress off me a little bit. I mean, if you wanted to keep track of some times, you're more than welcome to. So we normally start the timer on first input. So we count down from 4 here, so 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we would begin. So setting up every weapon that I need for the entire run.
What?
So yeah, the charge boots are really broken, like really, really broken. To go into first-person camera, you hold L1 in this game, right? If you just tap L1 instead of holding it, Ratchet kind of stalls in the air a little bit. And so also there's that. The dropship cutscene is way out of bounds as well. Like we have maps as to like where
the cutscenes are hidden in the actual map and the layout of the design.
And so apparently the game audio is too loud.
Yeah, I was about to say, Justin, can we turn down the game audio and turn down the contrast a little, and also make sure the metadata is good, because it might still say Division.
Okay, so don't blink or you might miss this. We call these proxies. I'll explain that in a second, but there's also some other stuff I need to explain. So I took a death as I entered the dropship, and that death is going to activate a glitch on Florana, and if it works properly, then you'll know exactly what's just happened, and if not, nothing will happen. So it's an all or nothing thing. Sometimes it just doesn't work.
Okay.
If it doesn't work, I might go back and try to showcase it again after the run is over. But we skipped the entirety of Florana because I died in the dropship, and we just kill Quark in one hit.
What?
So we call that Quark Warp. For some reason, we think it has to do with skipping a couple of the checkpoints. Not doing the full mission on the second half of Velden doesn't give you the checkpoint for when the gate falls down. And so we think it kind of manipulates the checkpoints and kind of tricks the game into thinking that it's sending you to the spot you're supposed to be at, but it's on the wrong planet. We don't really know for sure. We just know how to do it consistently. So we're going to use the turrets here to wall clip, and if I can actually wall clip properly, that'd be nice. But these wall clips are super important because now we're technically out of bounds even though we're in the Starship Phoenix. Also, that wall doesn't exist. So, because we didn't have to take the drawbridge to get over here, or whatever you would call that, the tram, I guess, we can go even further out of bounds. So VR training, you're not supposed to be able to access until after Tyrannosis. But you guys left it in here, regardless of
because it still has to be loaded. It's still in the map for later, yeah.
Yep, and so we just access VR training.
All right, you got to store it somewhere in the game. And so things like the Phoenix, where we don't have as much. That's where you would hide, or you put things like that because you don't have quite the amount of geometry and stuff as some of the other levels. Wow.
Okay. There we go. So now we're done with VR training. And so like that, we skip Annihilation Nation 1. We do technically skip Marcadia, although we have to go back to Marcadia to get VidComic 1. But we also skip Aquados and Tyrannosis entirely. So that's a very, very useful skip. It saves countless minutes. And it's really the only true sequence break that we have in this game.
Wow.
We do skip Iridia, but that's kind of done in a weirder way. Like, it's not as true to form of a sequence break. So we do technically have the hyper shot because when you enter VR, the game gives you the hyper shot because it's like, you wouldn't get this, or you wouldn't be here unless you had this. And so we don't technically have it though forever. It's in our quick select ring, but as soon as we override it, it's gone for good.
Got it.
And so this is a technique called shot cannon weaving. So the hitbox of the shot cannon lasts longer than the iframes on the enemies. And so if you swing back and forth, you just refresh your hits on the boss. And so now we're going to override the hyper shot. It's gone for good. And we're going to finish up Dax here. Oh, whoops. Yeah, so I didn't finish explaining how these jumps work. So when you tap L1 instead of holding it down, you go into what's called a neutral state. And in the neutral state, you maintain your momentum as long as you don't touch the left analog stick. And so what you do is you just input a standard long jump, and you keep your charge boot momentum.
The whole way. Wow.
Yeah, and it's very easy to do with certain weapons. For example, the whip. All you have to do is, double tap R1, hold up an L1, and because of the way the whip works, as long as you're holding L1, when you mash circle and the game inevitably swings the whip, it thinks you're on the ground. And so you're able to maintain your position in the air and kind of just do a crazy mid-air long jump. So this is Obani Gemini. Normally you need the refractor for this, and you have the laser puzzle. But you can, let's see here, you can just kind of go up to the barrier right here and do a nice little trick that's going to be a little difficult for me to do. This is already finicky, but it's even harder to do when I have to deal with the input delay. I think I'll just probably do the safer one. So you land right here, and I have to avoid the free fall animation, or else the game will automatically kill me because it thinks I'm, soft locking.
Right.
And then you can just clip through the barrier. So this is also going to be a little tricky for me to do with a little bit of input delay, but we'll try it once. There is the same idea as those charge boot long jumps that I'm doing. We're going to maintain our momentum with a thruster pack long jump and try to carry this momentum through with a helipack long jump, and then get over to there. So I'm actually very surprised I hit that first try. That's significantly harder than barrier clip. That's a 2-frame window, so that's pretty nice. And then we're just done with Obani Gemini.
Wow.
So how you feeling so far about all this?
Man.
My brain's like trying to catch up.
Yeah, I like, it's like, but just as I'm starting to process something, you show something else, and it's like, what?
Well, thankfully we get a little bit of downtime to kind of collect ourselves here because, and actually this is a PS3 thing exclusively. I'm not sure what activates it, but eventually if you play long enough, these missiles don't come at you anymore. They all just like go straight upwards, completely away from Ratchet. So, yeah, I've heard that, Idle Minds did some pretty interesting things with these ports.
They, just getting these games, getting these games to run on the PS3 is not as easy as it would seem, because the PS3 itself is a tricky architecture. The PS2 had a kind of tricky architecture. Combining those is really tough. But, we did a lot of things on the PS2 that you probably shouldn't have done. Stuff like using them, for instance, one thing that, you weren't really supposed to do, but you also, no one really said you couldn't. There's a little bit of memory for each of the controller ports and memory card ports. Well, we didn't have a split screen or 2 players, so we could just use that memory for other things. So that makes it very difficult when you're trying to emulate the PS3 and you don't know about the little things that places we stole memory from and stuff that isn't really documented well, and the PS3, an emulator of the PS2 isn't going to realize that they need to emulate the memory for the controller ports and stuff like that. So fortunately, Idle Minds had some very, very smart people who did work at Insomniac and knew where we buried some of the bodies. And that's how these exist.
Okay.
But even then, there's some weird stuff when you're taking PS2 to PS3.
Yeah, and for the most part, this game is pretty solid. So they did a pretty successful job, all things considered.
Yep. It's very, very good. People, they aren't perfect, but they're very, very good.
Yeah. So a couple things that I could explain here. You see I'm kind of dying at the end of every mission. The prompt for the next mission comes up as soon as you hit the mission complete screen. And on PS2, you can pause the game as soon as the map or the mission complete screen comes up, and then quit out of the mission to do the next one. However, you can't pause the game on PS3 while you're auto-saving. And so to circumvent that, we death abuse, because it ends the mission the same way that just exiting the mission straight up would. Oh yeah, this skips all of Marcadia, except I messed it up because I have bad timing.
Well, you're just death abusing more, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just a little more death abuse.
There we go. So that skips all of Marcadia. And then we go straight to the missions. Now, I should tell you at this point about what Quit Exploit is and why it's so big for the speedrunning community. And maybe you guys would have some insight as to why this works in general. So we found out, we kind of broke the game apart a little bit. And we found that if you have a very specific file count, or like, you know, challenge mode count, bolt count, frames of time played, and I think one other thing, I forget exactly what, you can essentially rewrite what's going on in the game and do some really wacky things. So for example, at the end of this planet, what we would do in standard New Game Plus, where you're allowed to do this exploit, you can buy the master plan that you get at the end of Crash Site from the vendor, and then so you skip from Arcadia straight to Quark's hideout, and then so as well as, and this is actually, that one I kind of understand like why that works logistically speaking. The other major exploit that we found, I do not know how to wrap my mind around this at all. So if you quit out a certain amount of times, I forget all the details. Somebody in chat would know this better than I would. But what happens is the sniper rifle gets repurposed from...
Ted Price.
How you doing? I'm watching, and you're incredible.
Nice to meet you. I won't distract you.
Scott.
I will. Ted.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Ted. But yeah, so what happens is the sniper rifle's properties get changed if you quit out enough times with this exact amount of bolts, you know, challenge modes, time played, and whatnot. And what ends up happening is instead of firing, it grounds Ratchet. So what you can do is you can side flip up in the air, pull out the sniper rifle, re-ground Ratchet, and then infinitely side flip upwards. And we use that in NG Plus to skip all of these missions. We go straight from the beginning of Marcadia to the end of Laser Defense Facility that's like, you know, stored, you know, hundreds of meters up in the air from the spawn point. And so this category is normally half an hour long, and with both of those exploits in tandem, it becomes, I think we have potential to make it sub 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. It's really brutal, but like, especially with like, we call them flux flips. So like, you know, you just like do that, double tap, triangle, that, like, and then over and over and over, and like 120 times. So it's super brutal to do, but, and I think only a couple people have even done a run of it so far, but it is possible. So it's just wild.
Just the idea that you can overwrite, there's some bug that allows you to overwrite the sniper rifle into changing it to that is crazy.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem impossible to me. There has to be some sort of... Where's Al when we need him? Same phone who dis. I have been reading chat, but I'm also, I can't take my eyes off of what's happening. It's crazy.
Oh, another thing you might find amusing with this quit exploit that we found is that you can buy weapons exclusively in Ratchet 2 from the Ratchet 2 vendor. So like the Levitator from Ratchet 2 is in the vendor. If you buy it, it crashes the game immediately, but it's still there. I know you guys, like, there's probably some memory thing leaking over because they're all technically like a part of the same download. I guess, I don't know how that would work. You guys would know way better than I would.
I'd actually, well, does it only work on the PS3 version?
Yes.
Interesting.
So yeah, we just get to chill. This is the 2-minute time mission.
Got it.
I'm impressed that you can talk while you're doing this. How many times have you played through?
Hundreds. Well, I'm trying to think. So like, I have a counter that goes on my stream for every attempt that I do. As of right now, of this category alone, I have about 12,000 attempts.
Wow.
So, you know, that includes resetting immediately from some dumb mistake. But yeah, I've dumped a lot of time with this game over the years. I'd say probably in the ballpark of 4,000 hours.
That's awesome. So what are you eventually, what are you studying for in school right now?
I am getting my master's degree in vocal performance, so I'm an opera singer.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very weird combination of things to be doing with my life, but it's fun.
where do you think you'll eventually end up in terms of singing? Here in the U.S., overseas?
I'm not opposed to being overseas. That is where a lot of the action for opera is happening nowadays.
Yeah.
Especially, there's more and more financial trouble that a lot of opera companies have been undergoing in America because a lot of them are really bad at marketing. I have a lot of grief that I could spill with American opera companies, but that's not the reason why I'm here. That being said, once I finish my degree next year, ideally I will be auditioning for apprenticeships at opera houses. I forgot to swap weapons, so I'm going to have to take a second to do that. Oh yeah, so by the way, did I do it properly? No, I didn't. I have to do the mission over, actually, and you'll see why in a second.
I'm distracting you, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I should have been more careful with my timing. But yeah, there's a really wacky exploit coming up here, and I think you guys already know about it. You guys know about the Ghost Ratchet, like, death state, right? Like, where you can walk through walls.
I've seen it.
We can activate that by dying as something would naturally pull Ratchet out of whatever he's dying in. And so once the mission ends, he'll be in the mud, but the game will pull him out of the mud automatically, so he still has activated this Ghost Ratchet state.
Right.
Which makes Laser Defense Facility go significantly faster because you can just go through all the walls. But yeah, that's my plan. Next year, I'm going to be auditioning for a bunch of opera houses, and if they like me, they'll hire me, and if not, well, then I'll be in good company with many other people who try to audition for these things on a regular basis. So I think I got it there. The timing was a little close. If not, I'll just have to do it normally. But, yep, there we go. And so now we can just kind of cut through. And this is a very treacherous spot, because if you die, alright, that's fine. I'd rather lose momentum than die. If you don't have the proper angles here, you can lose up to 3 minutes if you die, because then you have to pick up the refractor and do the entire puzzle. There is a way to clip through all of the walls, but the clips here are really precise and finicky. So it's just better to take your time and not die sometimes than it is to just try to YOLO and risk death. So that's Marcadia, and the only reason we go there is to get VidComic 1 because we need it later for another exploit.
I'm impressed. I'm not going to sit here and watch the whole thing, but that's fantastic. Well, thank you for coming by. And
oh yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
So the PS3 version.
Right, Ted.
Okay.
See you, Ted. The PS3 version of this game, I was explaining to James earlier that there is menu storage between files. So that's a tiny little time save that I have right there, where I was able to set up the exit VidComic menu from a previous file, so I didn't have to. I saved one input. All I would have to do is just press up and X. But instead, what I can do is just mash start and X.
And it goes right through.
Yeah.
Someone was explaining that the pointer, that does make sense. Like, you're overriding the pointer on the flux rifle for the set his state to 0. So instead of pulling it, it sets it to 0.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew it involved the pointer somehow, but I didn't know all the details. So this is fun. We don't need to do this mission, so we just die and exit out of it. And this is called the Tar Ninja strat because it was found by 2 runners, Tarnawina and Ninja Ratchet. And then we can proxy up this wall. If you guys caught the Spyro run, they probably explained proxies there. And the concept is pretty simple. You know, the game doesn't know what to do with Ratchet, so it launches him upwards to avoid soft blocking. Except we can do it manually on any sloped surface, as long as we charge into the wall, cancel the charge, fire the shock cannon, and swap weapons at the exact same time. So then you swap from the shock cannon to the mega turrets, and then you just mash circle, and then eventually the animation of the turret being thrown is what launches him upwards.
Huh. That's cool.
Wow.
So this is Hollistar Studios. There's a very treacherous trick here. It's quite the run ender, especially as people are going from the mid-level to the high level of speedrunning this game. So normally what you have to do is you get Scrunch, and then you pull up the drawbridge with Scrunch. We're going to avoid getting Scrunch altogether, but it requires us to glide along like this the rail in which the laser is. So I'll take a couple seconds to show this. It's not really that big of a deal for me to showcase why this is so difficult. So we're gonna get onto this little rail right here, and that the width of the laser trail as it's coming up and down, that's about the width of what exists on this rail.
Got it.
It's hollow in the middle, but there is a little tiny bit to glide on both sides. So like we're just gonna try to go for it, and then we ledge grab and get across.
Wow.
So it's very, very difficult, and oftentimes runners really struggle with that, but it's one of those things that, you know, eventually you just have to sit down and put in the hours.
To like know exactly where that's gonna be and
wow. And so Terror of Talos.
Like you're like, it's so difficult that you just do one shot at it. Like,
well, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, I figured it was a 50-50 at worst. So Terror of Talos, he normally flies away, right? But what we're gonna do, we're gonna stun lock him in place so that he can't fly away. And if we get him in the right spot, he's gonna instantly drop as soon as we deplete his health bar. And he's really trying. He wants to get those ninjas out, but he's just done.
boom.
That fight, this whole planet is just one difficult thing after another. It's really, really intimidating to do in a speedrun, and no matter who you are, no matter how much you've practiced, you can always lose runs here. And then finally, we're going to do one other proxy right here. This one's a little tricky.
Hey, Remaster, you should just refresh, because I've updated the titles. It's probably just because your browser's not refreshed.
And then we skip the entirety of the Ratchet section.
Wow.
That proxy was found. So the proxies in general in this game are actually quite a recent addition. They were. We knew about them. We knew that they existed. We didn't know how to consistently set them up until a Japanese runner named Haniwa came in, and he's kind of the definition of somebody who plays this game for the sake of just enjoying it. And so what he does, he just goes for all these ridiculous strats and never cares about whether he messes them up or not. I messed up a really cool movement tech option there, but you can charge along the edges of these. Oh, this is going to be cool. I'm going to try this. So if you mash at about 11 inputs per second. Wait, let me try this again.
It's almost like you're grind booting through it.
Yeah, exactly. You get like a mini charge over and over. We call that arm breaker because most people have to mash that. Because I've done a lot of Guitar Hero and Rock Band in my days, I'm pretty decent at fluttering that with 2 fingers, but that's obviously you're doing it on 1 button,
right?
So it's tricky. And that saves a couple seconds. It's mostly just for swag. And then, oh yeah, we clip out and skip the entire rest of the level. So here's the Courtney fight, and this is going to be the first example of a trick that we call Rhino bombing. For whatever reason, there's certain interactions with specifically Rhinos V2 through 4, not V5. So I only have the V4 Rhino out here. You'll see. Immediately depletes her health bar. So for whatever reason, especially the Nitro Launcher, it makes it a lot easier, but it's like an iframe cancel, and so what happens is since there's no invulnerability frames, you can damage the boss on every single frame. And so, and for whatever reason, this is what actually confuses me about it. It's the Rhino that does the damage, but the game thinks it's the Nitro Launcher because it doesn't funnel any experience into the Rhino.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure why that is the way it is. Maybe you guys would have some theories.
Well, maybe because... And you were on the Nitro Launcher prior to that?
By the way, the Leviathan cutscene still exists underneath the level, so... anyway, you were saying?
Were you on the Nitro Launcher prior to that?
I fired the Nitro Launcher before firing the Rhino, yes.
Yeah, so I wonder if because, like you said, it's not recognizing it, so, like, the actual experience isn't applied till the end, and since it's the iframes are hitting it multiple times, if it then, like... all the damage is being done, but it still thinks it's being done on the Nitro because the Rhino hasn't fully resolved yet, if that makes sense. Like, that's usually... The experience isn't usually given till the very end, so it probably hasn't gotten to the point where it's triggering the Rhino experience, so it's still all going to the Nitro cannon, because it's actually killing her. Like, if you had to fire the Rhino twice, I bet the second Rhino would pick up some of the second Rhino shot might pick up some of the experience from or the like, essentially, you know, if you get what I'm saying, like it wouldn't
Yeah.
actually get the experience, but it would put it on the first try in a shot.
Gotcha.
Maybe.
And I did want to pause here real quick to show you another exploit. So we didn't collect VidComic 2, and as you know, these have to go sequentially.
Right.
But you can store the skip comic menu in VidComic 1 by pressing the password option and the skip comic option on the exact same frame.
Okay.
So we store the skip comic, and it defaults to VidComic 3. So we skip VidComics 3 and 4, and then get the coordinates for Metropolis. That saves about 45 seconds. The alternative is just doing VidComic, or the Annihilation Nation.
Right.
Yeah, the one that gives you VidComic 2. We can also pick it up with that proxy that I did on Annihilation Nation. You can go into the alternative exit, and the VidComic 2 thing, like the hitbox for it, is still loaded. So you can still actually collect VidComic 2. There's just no benefit to it because it's slower overall. So I didn't set up this exploit, but I was talking about it a little bit earlier with these guys that for those who don't know, there is kind of like a difficulty scaling mechanism. I forget what the actual term you used is.
Oh, act tuning.
Act tuning. And so if you die on a boss multiple times, the game act tunes to give the boss less health, and it does less damage to make it a little bit easier for players. Oh, and this backtrack is really difficult. I'm probably gonna mess it up once or twice because of the timing. But you can store the act tune specifically for Giant Clunk in a previous playthrough. So you can die on him 6 times by just like throwing yourself off the ledge. Oh, this is a really, really cool strat right here. We abuse the whatever exists on that tree.
Yeah. Just enough.
Yeah. And so you can store the act tune only on Giant Clunk. It doesn't work on any other boss. So it's just one of those things, I guess, that kind of fell through the cracks. It's not like
that number doesn't get reset or whatever.
Yeah.
His health doesn't get reset if it gets tuned down. Yeah, and act tuning was in, oh god, like, we stopped using it eventually on the PS3, but it definitely tracks deaths, and I think it also tracks time played. Maybe not back on the PS2. It certainly does on PS3, so if you go through the game faster, it gets harder.
Really?
On PS3. The
That's
PS3,
so cool.
not on the PS, not on these
Yeah,
DMX,
but on,
like,
like,
if you play
the
Tools of
future
Destruction,
games.
if you race through the game without dying, it gets harder and harder. Enemies' health gets bigger and bigger, and your damage goes down.
Huh, I never knew that.
And vice versa. If you spend a ton of time exploring and you die a ton and you keep throwing yourself off, your weapons get more and more powerful, and enemies are easier and easier to kill.
That's so interesting.
And that's true for Resistance as well, especially Resistance 1 and I think Resistance 2. So yeah, but it was always based on time and deaths. But that always was a problem because people were like, well, if they spend all this time exploring, then you don't do as much damage, or you do a ton more damage at the end. And so sometimes the most hardcore players are the ones that are in every nook and cranny, and then it's not very hard for them. Whereas people who are just trying to like rush through the game, find it gets harder and harder, even though all they want to do is just kind of do the critical path.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've mostly gone away from that now and do selectable difficulty versus one size fits all.
And so something I'm about to do here. Normally the game tries to send you to Iridia. We don't need to go to Iridia. What you get at the end of Iridia, for those who may not remember, you get I forget what it's called, the teleportation device. I haven't used it in so long, I forget the actual name for it, but you only use this device on Quark's hideout, and we have exploits to get around it anyway, so we don't need to go to Iridia. That being said, the way that the game works, the game will try to take you through in a linear direction depending on what missions it thinks you have to do. Oh yeah, this is the exploit to get around all this. We're gonna just enter the the backside of this level, and then there's Quark. And then we just whip jump back. We take the same way we came. We kind of make big triangles a lot of the times.
Yeah. Well, and so often too, like, you know, the level's always wrapped back around in some way, so that when you leave the end of the level, you can get back to your ship quickly. But then that also makes it so that, you know, with an exploit, you're very, very close to the exit many, many times with that kind of level design.
It's kind of what's made these games so good for speedrunning. Like that one design choice right there to put the exits near the beginning, it really helps speed things up tremendously. So this is Phoenix Rescue. This is a really, really difficult clip here. I'm going to try to go for it. We'll see if I hit it or not. I have to be careful about how I move around here. Nice. All right, so that is really hard.
That's crazy.
And it saves roughly 6 seconds over just taking the tram. However, if you go for it and miss it, it loses 8 seconds. So it's one of those things, it may not sound like that's a substantial amount of time, but at this point, you know, when you're playing within 45 seconds of your best paces on every split ever, 8 seconds matters a ton.
Yep, for sure. For sure. You're trying to trim everywhere you can because that all adds up across the whole run.
And speaking of trimming, this is probably the hardest proxy sequence in the run. The proxy itself isn't difficult. We're just going to do that, scale up the wall. But this whip jump is super tricky.
You don't even get to see him there. Like,
yeah.
Like that's why it's so hard. That's like pure muscle memory on the timing because you can't even see what's going on.
Yeah. And so that's all of Koros. And here's an interesting thing, is that if you go too far into the end of Koros without canceling your charge, there's a chance the game will crash.
Oh.
And we have no idea why. We just know that you have to cancel the charge a little bit earlier to avoid the crash.
Interesting.
But that did happen to me one time in world record pace, and it was. I have a clip of it on my YouTube, and it was.
You're like, no.
I at that point I had been grinding for so long I was just broken. The game had just broken me at that point. And here's another nifty little proxy we used to get around this barrier right here. Let me get up around here. This is some of the most fluid movement when done properly in the entire game. It's also one of the most difficult planets because there's so much that can go wrong, and it's the very last level. So, you know, it's one of those things where no run is ever safe, even up until the very end. So we are at the end of the game now.
I mean...
So this is Nefarious, and there's another very difficult exploit on Nefarious that we have to do. It's timing based, so it's one of those things where, you know, top level runners still miss it quite frequently because it's so difficult to hit. There are backup strats, but they're a little bit slower. They cost like 4 or 5 seconds, which really does matter because usually, I mean, with a game like this, it's hard to get explosive PBs, so you're generally playing within a few seconds of your personal best as you're up until this point, and it's like if you miss this, it just feels really bad.
So what is the world record?
World record is currently 28 minutes 43 seconds.
Wow.
Here, I'll get into that in a second here, the history of that.
Yeah.
So this exploit, we're going to try to... There we go. We got his iframes removed with the turrets, and now we're just going to shred his health bar with the Rhino.
When do I stop the clock? I mean, you tell me when to stop the clock.
16 shots against the Bi-Obliterator. So we're going to get on this rock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and time.
It's 32 minutes, 36 seconds.
I'll take that.
I mean, like, that's pretty good on, you know, that's pretty fast.
Yeah, and there were a couple of instances where I had to like also stop to explain a couple things.
Right. Yeah.
So like
Ted Price came in the middle of it.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that time. That's a very respectable time for most people anyway. So yeah, world record is for this category is 28:43. It's only very recently. So with basically we have a very dedicated community of people who have been eking out 1 second time saves, half-second time saves that just made the game so much more difficult.
Right.
And for a very, very long time, the meme was like, when is sub 30 happening? And then it finally happened. I got it on... coincidentally enough, I got it on September 11th of 2018.
Okay.
And then I kept grinding, and then there were just more and more time saves found, and eventually we broke the 28 barrier as well. I'm aiming for 28.3x. Like, that's my ultimate goal because my sum of best segments, the best I've ever done at all,
everything, right,
is 27.55, somewhere around there. So getting a 28.3x would be playing, you know, within 40 seconds
of a perfect run.
Yeah. So that's my goal. I'm the only person to get a 28, but there's a couple people who have been grinding. One of them is actually rather close. His name's Captain Wiffle. I think he might even be in the chat. But he currently has a 29:23, I want to say.
Okay, so he's 20. He's got 23 seconds to go, 24 seconds to go.
And it's
switch?
not just yet. I want to show off one more thing.
Got it. Okay.
I don't have a whole lot to show outside of, like, I can't do NG+, like the quit exploit, because I don't have a file for it. But I can show off a nifty little any % thing. And I need to go to this file anyway because I use this for Ratchet 1. So this is the most game-breaking strat that we use in any %.
Okay.
And it's really, really imperative because we don't get the charge boots until much later into the game in any % because you have to kind of follow the more linear progression to get to Dax. And so what we do is we use a gadget you may not expect. So we don't get it at all in NG+, but the Tira guys is very, very critical for an any % run. We have to use the Tira guys very tactically, as well as abusing some walls that don't properly exist. So it doesn't matter what language I'm in right now. Yes, this is an any % file. So I'll go through here, and then I'll go back to the Starship Phoenix, and I'll show you exactly how broken this is. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should mention about this. The progression of this game in general it's kind of storied in so much that there are waves of different people being incredibly influential. So back in 2012, I, as well as another runner named Insomniac Nintendo,
Oh man, that's a fantasy of a lot of people.
Yeah,
right there.
I know, right? Yeah, when is Ratchet going to be in Smash Ultimate?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've gotten at least a few times.
Yeah, just a handful.
But yeah, so we kind of worked together. We were actually kind of rivals for a long time, and then now we're pretty close. But we kind of did a lot of the groundwork to get the speedrun of this game on the map. And then I was busy with undergrad stuff, and IN kept playing the game. But then eventually, I think his record at the time was like maybe 58 minutes for a New Game Plus run. And it was basically just like going through the game, but a little bit faster with the charge boots at the very beginning. Oh yeah, by the way, so normally you're frozen in place as you press triangle.
Right.
If you pull out the tier guys, you press square, triangle, square, and you can move out. And so you can't jump because the game still thinks that you're in the tram.
Right.
But as soon as the tram hits its end location, you can start to jump again. And I'll continue talking about what I was talking about in a second here, but I just want to show you. So this wall right here does not exist. There's like a small crack that I can get myself through.
Okay.
And using a very precise series of inputs. So it's going to be square x square, then I'm going to hold triangle, reselect, or I'm going to double jump after I hit square x square. Actually here, let me just showcase this one step at a time, and then I'll do the full shebang. So if you press square x square, it grounds Ratchet with a wrench swing in midair, and you can double jump out of it. So you get 3 jumps instead of 2. Then if you hold triangle, you reselect the tier guys, and then press a combination of square, triangle, square. You use a hyper strike to store your vertical distance. You press triangle to get out of the tier guys, and you press square to swing the wrench again to reground Ratchet.
And then jump again.
What I do, since you can do it with just timing, but you can kind of be a little bit brain dead and just do square, square, triangle, triangle, square, square. So I'll showcase this. So you can do this over and over in midair. The problem is that if you don't do them perfectly, you lose height.
Right.
And so we want to get to the end of VR doing this. So actually, I can't have a weapon out. I need the wrench. This is a little tricky to get through. It's a little bit easier on PS2 because the textures are not as solid. But I think if I delay my double jump, I can get through here pretty easily. I haven't done this in a hot minute, so this is going to be a little rough for me. There we go. We're out of bounds. So there we go. We're off the ground.
And now just using this to make your way up to or make your way out to VR.
Yes, and this is incredibly dangerous. If you... So let me explain all the ways in which you can die here. If you hit X too early, or not X, if you hit square too early as you exit the quick select ring, you die. You hyperstrike to your death.
There it is.
If you don't pull out of the tyrannoid state fast enough, you fall to your death. If you hit square too late after hitting the tyrannoid state, you hyperstrike and you fall to your death. If you don't get enough height, you die. There's just so many ways this can go wrong, and this is also a really cool thing. We're gonna animation cancel this. So normally you're stuck in place there.
Is that right?
But if you swap out of the tier guys as you collect the bolt, the game doesn't know what to do, and so Ratchet can continue moving freely. And it's very weird. I have to use both analog sticks to move around because it's not a traditional way of moving. But now that the game is still trying to give me the titanium bolt, nothing pops up on the pause menu. Nothing pops up in the quick select ring. And if I were to enter the ship, this is where it gets really funny. I can still select the planet.
Right, but you don't have any of the...
I'm currently on Iridia, so if I just go crash site Metropolis, I think.
Right, so the UI is locked out essentially, which is why it's not showing up. Or
Yeah,
the UI are turned off right now.
Exactly. So this should land me at Metropolis. But yeah, that's the really that's one of the coolest things about any%. It's really, really difficult because, you know, like I was saying, if you mess up one thing, you're just screwed.
You're right.
But it's really essential because that is how we skip Aquatos and Tyrannosis in Ratchet 3, any%.
Wow.
So, yeah. And this category is also just super brutal because we have no shield and 40 health. And so every enemy kills us in one hit.
Right.
Even from like the middle of the game, you know, you have 20 health on Blackwater, you get 2 shots.
That's right. So so you have to play perfectly, not just on your exploits, but just as you play. Too.
Yep. Yeah. So that is pretty much all I needed to show in Ratchet 3, unless I missed anything critical. I mean, I'm sure people in chat will point out if I've missed anything.
I'm sure, chat. This is the PS3 version of Ratchet 3, and we're switching over to a PS2 now, right? Is that the...
Yes.
That's the plan. So give us just a second. It's going to go black or blue, even, because we're running through FrameMeister. And then hopefully we will get a signal here. There we go. Look at that.
Oh, Florana Gap.
May have to... Oh, no, there you go. Look at that.
So Florana Gap... oh, actually, here, let me... Somebody mentioned...
sorry.
That's all good.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, somebody mentioned there's a gap. So basically, if I had failed the Quark Warp exploit on Florana, what I could have done instead, I could have gone... Like, there's like a... You know, another little drawbridge preventing you from hitting the path of death. But there's like a tiny crack that you can just jump through.
Oh,
like,
nice.
It's not too hard, but yeah, it's not as flashy as getting Quark Warp.
Okay, so one question I have. What's your shirt size, by the way?
Medium?
Cool. That's all. Go ahead.
All right.
I just need to...
Great.
I'm messaging people while I'm working on stuff. Cause I'm like, hey, I need to like have some people raid a closet for you.
I always like that line of questioning. I'm more than happy to answer that. So, I'm going to showcase now Ratchet 2 New Game Plus. This is the reduced version of a New Game Plus category. We also have New Game Plus No Insomniac Museum glitch. But I figured, since I'm here at Insomniac Games, I, of course, should use the exploit that has the Insomniac Museum.
Yeah.
So we're going to start this. The way we time this is a similar way. You know, we would normally start our timer at like minus 15.7.
Okay.
But I'll just tell you when we're at the point.
I will say that when we walked in earlier, you're like, it's just like the museum.
Yeah, exactly. I was freaking out. It actually looks exactly like the museum out there. So here we would go. It's like 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
It's been a hot minute since I've done this. So that was my most comfortable category at this exact moment because I've been grinding that for like, you know, the better part of 7 or 8 months now, continuously. But this category I'm also pretty adept at. So here we are at the Insomniac Museum, here in Planet Burbank.
Planet Burbank.
And there it is, and there it goes. So the reason we do that, this game is very funny because it thinks, basically the way you normally access this planet, aside from the shortcut, is by going to Bolden. But if you enter the Insomniac Museum from any point other than Bolden, it doesn't know how to process when you leave, so it takes you right to Bolden. So we've now skipped 2/3 of the game. Let's see here. I don't think I needed... Did I need anything else? That should be good. I missed a little skip right there. But yeah, so there's some really wacky exploits in Rack 2. I think Rack 2 overall is probably the most outright broken game of the 3. I mean, if for no other reason, I mean, like, I literally just skipped, 2/3 of the game.
Right.
So, that's already, we're done with Bolden. We just clip right through the end there and get right to Fizz Widget. But there's a lot of really wacky stuff, and you're going to see some of it here on Aranos. So first we have to do this Clank section. There's nothing really that fancy that I'm going to be doing here. It's relatively, straightforward. We're just going to be going through as fast as possible. This section tends to annoy a lot of speedrunners because a lot of your time saves and time losses are built around where the RNG of the chicken spawns are. We always call them chickens in the community. I know they're like robot. I don't know what their actual name is, but we call them chickens.
Oh, I probably could find it somewhere, but I don't know what the actual name is either. Some swarmer type.
So like, ideally I'd kill both of those guys with one punch. I kill the other two with one punch.
Right.
I would kill all 3 of these with 2 punches, and I did not. That's fine. We can skip that guy. He doesn't matter. He's pretty harmless. But yeah, once we get out of here, we're going to go into the Ratchet section. And this is the only time in this category you're going to see Clank. Ratchet 2 has a love-hate relationship with Clank. We use him in very few amounts of categories.
They are called Megacorp Chicken Bots, according to Northern Star Dragon.
Megacorp Chicken Bots.
Oh.
Well, that's convenient. And so, again, ideally, I'd be able to, like, kill one of those guys as I break open the Gadgetbot crate or whatever.
Right.
So, like, this isn't desirable RNG, but you learn how to work around it. And then we get to the end here.
But when you're talking, this is a 10-minute run, right? Normally.
Yep.
So when you're talking a 10-minute run, like 5 seconds or 3 seconds is gigantic.
Oh my god, it's huge.
Yeah.
It kind of works a little bit logarithmically, where the way that we kind of map this out in our brains is that if it's a half-hour category in the Ratchet series, you should be playing somewhere. You should be playing somewhere around a minute off of your sum of best segments in order to have what would be considered a good run for your level, and you can bonk on that. That just kind of happens. Yeah, side flips are going to be a little tough for me on this TV, guys, because I am on an HD TV, and this is a PS2 game. So there's going to be a little tiny bit of input delay that I'm not used to. Oh, by the way, if you double jump go into first person mode, you can infinitely climb upwards with a wrench.
Wow.
This is a Rack 2 exclusive glitch.
That's why everyone wants first person mode.
Yep.
Yeah, you might break some stuff if you put it in. Who knows?
But that's kind of the way we think about it, is that if it's a half-hour category, you're going to play within, like, a minute of your sum of best segment. Oh, goodness. That really sucks. So I try to eke my way around that wall, but because of the timing, I ended up bonking against, like, the very last part of the wall I could bonk against. And it brought me back here. So this isn't going to be a very speedy speed run, but we're going to do what we can to kind of navigate with what we have.
Sorry about all the input delay.
No, that's fine. It's one of those things that it just happens. And, like, I can probably adapt to it pretty quickly. Like, had I like 15 more minutes, I could definitely adapt to this, but it's just going to be tough in the moment here.
Right, especially coming off of less delay to now this.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the biggest challenges of these kinds of categories. So we do have a continuous trifecta category, Ratchet 1, Ratchet 2, Ratchet 3 in a row. But what you can do, like we basically allow, you're allowed like a 5-minute break between categories to set things up and whatnot. Let's see here, we're back. Now let me really finesse this so that I don't actually die this time. There we go.
Yeah,
that's
right.
how you do it, friends. Let's see, this clip, look up a little bit. We clip through that wall, and normally there's a levitator section, or like a... Oh, come on! Well, here we are once again. You thought we were done, but we're not. This is going to be like a 15-minute run. I'm going to get roasted so hard. That's okay. It happens.
Remaster Resistance is giving me crap saying I should have gotten a CRT TV, but our whole setup is HDMI, so it's kind of a little tricky.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's very standard that you would run these games on a CRT if you're playing on PS2, because for those who don't know, there's zero input delay for a CRT.
Right.
Oh, that was sketchy. I'm gonna play this a little safe.
How do you then stream it if you're running it through CRT?
You just need to get a
HDMI CRT, or like
no. There are capture cards that exist
just for composite. Or
yeah. And thankfully, I run everything through a 1 millisecond monitor nowadays, so it's a lot easier for me to
get your frame perfect stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I have gadgets that'll help me swap around between things like that.
Got it.
So we're finally off Aranos 2. This run can now get off the ground.
Okay.
It only took me, like 6 minutes, something like that?
I'll tell you if you want to know.
No, I'm good. I'd be okay never knowing how I do on this particular run.
We can keep that between the audience and us.
So this is Gorn. All you have to do is the mission where you blow up these 4 ships.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just do that very quickly here. And we're done with Gorn.
Nice.
But yeah, so like I was explaining before, half-hour category, a minute off some of the segments is considered good.
Mm-hmm.
For a 20-minute category, like Ratchet 1 New Game Plus, you would want to be closer to like 40 or 45 seconds off of your summer best to be considered on a good run.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little tougher nowadays, but it is what it is. And then for this category, because it's only it's sub 9 minutes for world record, we kind of theorize that a good run, would be somewhere around 7 or 8 seconds off of what we call the community sum of bests. So we have spreadsheets for the best times that anybody has ever
had
gotten
on any segment.
Yep. And so a good run for this would be 7 seconds off of community sum of best, which would be right now the community sum of bests. There's a runner named Scott Bozo who grinded the absolute crap out of this category to get me. Well, he didn't do this just for me, but I'll show you the fruits of his labor as to why he grinded so much. But he grinded an absolute ton, and now he currently has every community sum of best. So his sum of bests are currently 824. Mm-hmm. So we theorize a really great run would be somewhere around 831 or 832. World record is 838 by Scott right now. My PB from several months ago is 842. And there's a couple of other runners on the come up as well. So any one of us, if we really sat down and grinded a ton, could do this. Oh yeah, by the way, we loaded this boss, the model of the boss in. So we're using the Sheepinator on him, and he can't do anything to stop us. And so we're just gonna finish this up here real quick. And sheep, let me actually blow up that sheep real quick. We activate the cutscene to trigger the boss, and it blows up.
Yeah.
And so now we don't have to do this treacherously long boss fight. Saving minutes upon minutes. Actually, it wouldn't really cost that much time in New Game Plus. He does take a significant amount of damage from the Rhino.
Right.
But it's still more of a pain.
Yeah, and you don't have to deal with it then.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to stand there and sheepinate and drain his health that way. Yep.
And in any percent, you would collect the Sheepinator when you hit Tadano. Here, let me do this real quick. The timing on that is... I'm not used to it because I just learned this 5 minutes ago. I'll try this once or twice more and then see what happens. I need to be a little bit further towards the left. We're figuring out strats in real time here, chat. You're learning as I'm learning. Let's see here. It's more like this. I was a little too soon that time. I'm going to try it one more time.
One more time. Maybe more, whatever.
Yeah,
we'll
who
see
knows?
how close we get.
We'll see how we're feeling. This run's already a meme, so... that's okay. I'll do the standard strat. So normally you would manipulate that jump pad to launch you over to where you would need to go there. But we're going to do this instead. I'm more used to this strat anyway. Oops. I would have normally put the shield on there, but I didn't trust my muscle memory. And that takes us to the exact same spot.
Wow.
So this is the end of where we normally are for Smold. You take the rail and then you come back on down here. I'm going to do a falling neutral. That did not work. I don't know why I thought that would. It's okay. There are backups. I'm going to need to buy decoys, I think. So let's just do that while we're here. Okay. And so now we're going to take the rail. So we're going to do what we did a lot in Ouya, where we kind of hit the we hit the end of the level through going around the exit. Thankfully, the cutscene is right at the end of this rail. Ooh, I should not have done that. I should have just glided over and saved it with the first-person glitch. But yeah, you can kind of see what happens if you spend too much time on one category, and I didn't have a whole lot of chances to de-rust this or Ratchet 1 because of my wrist. So it was just an unfortunate circumstance. Ugh. God.
So this is because you don't have grind boots?
Yes. Yeah, we don't go to Indako, so we never get the grind boots.
Got it. Okay, that's what I thought. I'm just making sure I understand all the insane things that are happening.
Yeah, and so in some categories, like in all platinum bolts, where you have to go to Indako, all platinum bolts, for those who may not know, is a speedrun in which you beat the game from a fresh file, so no weapons. Mm-hmm. It's just a standard new game. Uh-huh. You collect all 40 platinum bolts along the way and then beat the game. You would have the grind boots, and so you would do the rail strat, but you would have to use a sequence of tricks called slope intercept, where you have like a half second of grounded state as you step onto a rail, and we abuse that grounded state to do a high jump on the rail instead of gliding or grinding straight down.
Got it.
And so you can do high jump, then you can land on the rail again and charge, and you can't activate two boots at the same time. So as long as you're using the charge boots, you can't use the grind boots.
Got it. I think.
So this level, same idea. There's the end of the level.
Wow.
So I know you guys have a lot of opinions about this planet.
So much work.
Yeah.
So much work. Just skipping it all.
It's okay. I know you guys don't like to remember the Yetis anyway, so I figured I'd save you guys the trouble.
Remastered, you can always ask questions.
I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you guys may have about these. I know a lot of you guys are not super familiar with the speedruns, and so this may be a little bit confusing to some of you, if not a lot of you. So this is the final planet. This is Yeatle. I have to double tap circle and then immediately hyper strike out of it. That's okay. I can double jump and save this with more first person glitch.
Someone asked if there's any weapons that we want to, or that we want that we.
Oh, what the heck? That was weird. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. You were saying?
Any weapons that we haven't put in that we want to put in, we keep like in our back pocket. Like the Groovatron was proposed for Ratchet 1 or 2, and it sat in our back pocket for years until we had the animation memory to do animations for all the different enemies. Because that was the problem on the PS2.
This is miserable. Oh man, I'm
well, good luck on your Discord later tonight, man.
Yeah,
That's
I know,
all I'm
right?
saying. Like,
you would not think that at any point I would have ever had a world record in any Ratchet 2 category. Let me see. I can also do this. There we go. That's much better.
Yeah, they're gonna razz you pretty good. I think.
Oh, they absolutely will.
For this
And
R2.
at this point, I deserve it. So there's an invisible wall there that I was kind of bonking up against. And let's see. There's the teleporter. There's some faster strats for that, but obviously I was screwing them up. So we do what we can.
Does anyone speedrun the Vita versions?
We actually meme about the Vita versions quite a lot. We don't really have any people outright testing Vita stuff right now. We theorize that it's faster because of the loads of the actual system, that it is potentially faster for certain versions. However, the biggest problem is that oh yeah, by the way, I'm done with Yeatle. The biggest problem is that there's no L2, R2. And so strafe matters so much for some of these games. And time on Ratchet 2, so there's that. If I had to take a guess, that was like 16 or 17 minutes, maybe even more.
No, you were closer to 15.
Really? All right, you know what?
So,
it's fine. But I have one more thing to showcase with this, and this is going to blow your guys' mind. So this is the fruits of Scadabozo's labor. He sent me a memory card with this exploit on.
Okay.
Actually, here, let me not do that real quick. Let me...
Seeing these credits, James, I'm just like, Margaret Ting's been here.
Yeah. There's a lot of people. Paul Mudra still
Steve
here.
Ryder.
Yep.
Steve Ryder. Yeah, I
Jesus.
saw.
God.
Wow, no one on that list.
Yeah.
Here, I'll let you guys go down memory
Brian
lane.
Hastings, Al Hastings, both still here. Dave Girton, still here. Craig Goodman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jeez. Got Ferrito.
Oh, Fiorito is there? I
Yeah.
didn't even see his name. Fiorito's here still, obviously. Chad's still here. Vicky's still here. Jacinda's still here.
Oh my gosh.
Tom only left very recently.
All these years.
Yeah, 2003.
Brian Algeyer's still here. Yep. So,
Yeah,
and Greg Baldwin's
people.
still here too. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's
Good chunk of people.
that's 16, 17 years ago.
Nice.
Still work
Yeah.
with Mark Cerny quite a bit.
It's awesome.
So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So now I will. I'm not sure what is about to happen here with all this, but I do want to go back to Yeatle because I think it's just safer. I don't want to mess around with this memory card too much because I could potentially overwrite some pretty important things. So what we realized with this quit exploit stuff that happened in Ouya is that there was a potential to also make it work in Ratchet 2. Now, it's a lot more straightforward in Ratchet 2. Well, I don't know if it really has to do with quit exploit that much, but this was kind of found around the same time. So it turns out, on the PS2 version, it can only hold 255 save file, or challenge modes.
Sure.
The counter stops at 99, but, you hit...
Counter stops at 99, but behind the scenes,
Yeah.
it can
You
go
can
up to
keep going.
256, and then it writes over.
So what ends up happening when you hit challenge mode 256, there's a memory overflow, and it takes you back to any percent. So as if you had just created a fresh file. So you get all of your weapons, your gadgets, your upgrades, everything, and you are just in any percent. So I wanted to showcase a couple of things that happen. So I'll show you first off what it looks like when you actually activate this. So what we're gonna do, this file is currently on challenge mode 255. We're gonna go straight to the final boss.
Did he set the date to 420?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Intentionally?
And also all the bolt counters as well.
Yeah, 69, 420, 69.
Yeah, he very specifically sent me this memory card because
He's like, yeah, you're gonna stream this at Insomniac. Let's get the 420 and the
Everyone's saying
69
it.
references.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good. I just want to.
yeah, he's a really chill community member. He does a lot of good work for the community.
That's hilarious.
So we're gonna kill the protopet here, and then basically I'll just kind of show you what it looks like, and then I want to show you a couple of extra things. So we're going to enter challenge mode 256, aka new game 0 is what we call it. So challenge mode. We're going to save over top this file because this is not the important one. Obviously there's the major difference of all the enemies have less health, everything is just a lot less powerful, and you are basically just God running through, just annihilating everything.
Right.
But there is one critical difference which kind of eliminates this exploit's viability in many categories. It locks you out of the Insomniac Museum glitch. You cannot use the shortcut menu because the game,
Thinks
you're
in a first run, so you're not allowed to use the shortcuts.
and so why would you be able to use it, right?
Right.
And so we have everything. I'll show you. You know what? Let's just take any random weapon here. Let's take the Rhino 2 just to show a little bit of overkill here. We're gonna use the Rhino 2. And we're just going to go... Actually, Rhino 2 kills most enemies in one hit anyway. So let's go through something that's not at all powerful. Let's go with the Mega Tesla Claw. This is a pretty... it's like a decently powerful gun, but it's not really that amazing in challenge mode in comparison to other guns. So, you just kill everything with one little tick of the Tesla Claw. And we have our charge boots as well. I had nothing to cancel that charge with, but, Boom. You know, everything's just done as soon as I hit this. The hitbox is a little finicky, so
Right.
let's see. I hit that guy even though I aimed at this one, but you know, you just gotta kill everything really quickly. Oh, here's a nice little wave of enemies. So that there's those two, and then there's these little balls right here. You know, so nothing presents any sort of challenge to us whatsoever.
Right.
And I could go through this whole thing. There's not really much of a point, but I do want to show you what happens when you tackle some of these tougher bosses in NG0. So what I am going to do I need to take out the memory card for this? I guess technically not, because I could just go back at any point and do this on my own. But yeah, we're gonna showcase the Snivelac boss, which people have horror stories about doing this boss in any percent because it just takes so long. You know, like anywhere around 20 minutes, I've heard some people say. So we're gonna go straight to the bridge. He did us the courtesy of setting up this continue point. He did most of the hard work for us. Oops, that was a little wild, but that's okay. Oh yeah, basically everything's just gonna do like a little tiny bit of damage to me. They're mostly killing each other,
right?
But
Because you have,
you know, like I could just take out a tank in one hit, take out any number of these guys in one hit. It's all pretty easy, but that's not the big deal here. This is the big deal. We're gonna get back over to the Snivelac boss, and instead of sheeping him, oh yeah, we also have Clank, so we can actually do movement tag.
Right.
So I could aim at his feet to demonstrate this, but it works a lot better if I aim for his chest. So with one single clip of Rhino ammo, you know, I'm gonna put on my shield here so that he can't damage me. Let's see how many shots. So we started, I think, at like 93 or 92.
94, yeah, something like that. 93 seems right.
And there you go.
60, 63, 64, 65 shots. Not quite 69 shots.
Not
it would have
quite.
been perfect if it had been 69 shots.
Yeah. If only. I could have thought ahead and just fired a couple of extra, but yeah. So that's the Snivelac boss, and then I also want to show the Yeetle boss because it's just as silly.
He normally takes almost 300. This is Mantodia.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. He runs a category called NG plus glitchless, and so you would not do the Sheepinator exploit. You would actually have to fight the boss.
Got it.
And so he knows from experience, having done this category for some time.
What is the world record on glitchless NG plus?
What is the world record right now for glitchless? Rag 2 is a little weird. It's the only game where the community has felt the urge to run a glitchless category. Usually we kind of avoid glitchless because it's such a nebulous thing to define anyway.
Like what counts as a glitch? What
Yeah.
doesn't count as a glitch?
And also it's just not as fun as the other categories, but like, alright, so we're on 69 ammo right now.
54-17 is the yeah. So like it's because you have such a short category, I guess. Jeez, bye bye Protopet.
20 minutes, or not 20 minutes, 20 shots. 20 shots in the Rhino, and he's gone. So that's NG0.
Wow. It's
really, really broken.
That is broken. And fun, too, actually.
Yeah. So I don't think I have anything left to show with Ratchet 2. If you guys, anybody at home who wanted to see a more substantial Ratchet 2 New Game Plus category, we do have a couple on the leaderboard. There is no Insomniac Museum glitch, which is no use of the Insomniac Museum shortcut to get to Bolden. So it's a full game playthrough. It's about, world record right now is 24 minutes. And then there is no specials, which is like an extra little bit on top of that. So the specials menu is where you would have the Insomniac Museum glitch, you know, shortcut. And then in no specials, you're not allowed to use any specials whatsoever. No shortcuts, no first person mode, nothing like that. And that's about 25 minutes. It's only like a minute slower. I actually do want to show, now that I'm thinking about it, one last thing. Actually, I'll show two things. I know somebody was asking before about, I'll get back to Yeetle real quick. Somebody was asking before about how simple or difficult the first-person wrench climb is. So I kind of wanted to show how literally any single human being with a copy of Ratchet 2 can do this.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter.
Even me?
Even you.
Even me, though? Are you sure? that even Justin?
Yes.
I mean, let's see it, James. You gotta try it out.
you two may have to you might have to work together a little bit to feel comfortable with it, but no, it's really quite simple. I'll do it on. It doesn't really matter which planet I go to. I guess I'll go to Aranos.
Jesse Warner says, "Me at home."
Yeah. The reason I actually specify that anybody can do this is because there's so many glitches that you cannot do on other versions of this game. So I'm running NTSC Black Label PlayStation 2, so the very first version of the game that ever came out. But on any other version, a lot of the movement tech was patched. So from Greatest Hits onward. So literally all you have to do, you enter first person mode, which you unlock by completing a new game playthrough and entering challenge mode. You just double jump by pressing X, and as long as you're hugging a wall, you can climb it. So I double jump, and I just press square over and over, and I climb up. I'm not sure if I'm climbing up against this particular thing. I think I might have to actually just press this button. But you can see it on any other wall. I can even climb up now. It's that simple. You know, I'm not doing anything beyond mashing square.
So all you have to do is double jump, mash square, first person against a wall, and you'll climb the wall.
Exactly. It's super easy.
And that got patched out on the Greatest Hits version.
I don't believe that did. That's one of the only things that is between all playthroughs, I think. I could be wrong about that. I've been wrong before. But I do also want to show, I'll go to one other file. Somebody was asking about train skip. So on Siberius...
It didn't get patched, you're right.
Okay. On Siberius, there's a very fun exploit that we do called train skip. And it's been a while since I've done train skip, but I'll try to show it off. Now, normally, what you do on Siberius... Oh, I might actually have to... I don't know if I can show it off. I might have to find a different memory card for it. I have a couple of extras. I can dig and see if I have my full game memory card for this.
Yeah, it's crazy how, that actually did happen back in the day. Like, you didn't really have many chances to fix things, but sometimes different versions of the game, like when you go to the EU version, wouldn't have started it as early, so there might have been a bug that got fixed after the fact or got found, and then they would bring that bug back to the, or the fix back to the Greatest Hits editions.
James Justin, would you mind passing me the controller? I'm sure one would use closer. Sure. Thank you. So let me see if this is the right one. I think I use this for any percent categories, and I don't know if this memory card will work. We'll see. Oh, look at that. Okay. So I think this should have a more complete... Let's take a look-see here. If not, I'm not going to worry about it too much, but...
I like to imagine you with like this Rolodex of memory cards.
It was a lot more useful to keep track of all of them when we ran on PS2. But since we figured out that installing a solid-state drive makes it faster on PS3, I think now Ratchet 2 is the only Ratchet game that's faster.
On PS2?
Yeah. Okay, I do have Siberius. So, normally there's this very long train sequence with the thief, who you find out later is Angela. And it's really long and arduous, and even in a speedrun, there's not a whole lot of things you can do to speed up the process. There's some stuff, but you still have to do the train. Until a runner named Mr. Jarnett Man labbed out this skip for like a very, very long time. I forget exactly how long he was labbing this, but this is his love child right here. So normally I'll even show you the train. It's sitting over there, although it's not active anymore because I've completed the level, so even if I went over there, I couldn't use it. However, let me take my time with this because this is a little tricky. You clip through that wall with a decoy. We're now out of bounds.
You know, just going full cross-country skiing here, no problem.
I don't know where the gap is. Okay. And now we're going to continue going out of bounds. We're going to go even further.
Trees, you know.
And then, let me see if I can do this. I'm not sure if I'm at the right spot for this, but we're going to try this. Yeah, I was not at the right spot. I'll show it again, but I'll tell you guys right now that it lands you at the exact platform that the thief is at. So you just skip right to the boss battle and then kill the thief in like, 5 rhino shots or whatever. So I'll try this one more time, then we'll move on to Ratchet 1 so we can complete the trilogy here. And I'll make a quick shout out right now. If any of you guys at home are even remotely interested in this, like not even from like a runner perspective, but just like you want to try some of these glitches on your own, and you have a lot of questions, we have a Discord for the Ratchet speedrun community. I don't know if you guys allow links.
Yeah.
If anybody wanted to post that, they could from the community.
Someone in the chat will post it on Twitch, I imagine, for sure, if you're in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, like even if you're just, I'm not 100% sure where I need to be for this. Let me just.
Sneepy's like, I taught Xem this trick.
It's true, and I think I'm dead. But yeah, I'm dead. But you can see there was the button there. There's the platform.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I need to try this again. I think you guys get the general gist of it. But yeah, you can skip the entire train sequence, which is really nice. But yeah. So I'm sorry, you were gonna say?
Oh no, are we switching back to PS3?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, I'm gonna run to the restroom real fast while Justin switches that because my bladder is this big. Chat, don't say anything bad about me while I'm gone. Be right back.
Yeah, if you do chat, we'll have to beat you up. But yeah. So if you guys are at all interested in that, even if you just want to keep up with what the runners are doing, like who's getting records, who's getting PBs, it's a good way to do it by just checking the Discord every now and then.
Do you know the actual link, Xem, in your head? You want to just type it?
I have it written down on my phone actually.
Okay.
So
Someone may post it, but maybe we could just
yeah, I can also
share it to everyone.
So the link to the Discord is discord.gg/JY7NS9F.
J?
JY7NS9F.
And that's right.
That should work.
Discord.gg, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully, you guys, that helps. I don't know if it's actually giving me a link for you guys to click on, but you can copy and paste that. So.
I'm not sure if it's case sensitive.
Oh, okay.
If that's the case, then somebody else can post
someone
it.
else can share it, but
Invalid. Well,
it's case sensitive.
I pulled up my phone and I got 4 texts in a row from my girlfriend saying, "Hi, I love you. You're doing so good. Wow."
Nice.
So thank you, Summer. I love you too.
That is awesome. Yes. Well, someone else posted if it's invalid. Help us out here. So people can check out the good Discord. All right. So this is up. This looks like it's working, right?
Oh yeah. This is the PS3. That is correct. So I am going to be using the PS3 controller for this game because I'm just more used to it.
Okay.
So that's fine. I can just take care of that on my own.
Okay.
And so I guess we'll wait for James to get back before I get this started. I am going to be very, very bad at the first couple levels of this. I'm just going to put that as a disclaimer because there's some very specific tech that I have not practiced for a very long time. And so we're going to try our best here to get through the first couple levels. It might be a little slow. We'll make it work. And this is definitely my most uncomfortable game of the 3. I have not put a lot of time into Ratchet 2 recently, but I have played it in 2018. Whereas Ratchet 1, I don't think I've really touched it since the summer of 2017.
Oh boy, so rusty.
Yeah, we got a little bit of rust going on, but that's okay. Let's see here. Which set of files is this? I think I might have to actually swap. Let me see.
James, is there a remote over there? No?
remote. You see remote?
Is it a little loud on the TV? I think it's okay.
Okay, I'm
It's
actually going to swap usernames. I forgot about that. Okay. That's fine. We'll quit out of the game really quick. But once we get off the ground, get out of the first couple of levels, then my muscle memory should take over. It won't be too horrible. And you'll all see why it's so tricky. There's like one specific trick you have to do a couple times early on. But yeah, there's some really broken stuff in Ratchet 1. There's some really broken stuff. I'm trying to think of anything in particular. I actually will not be able to set up one of the most broken things because it would just take a couple of extra minutes, and I don't want to take forever. But it's called direct skip, and so what happens is, and this game is very unique in so much that when you beat the final boss, the game does not end. The game ends when you hit the button at the very end to activate the deplanetizer. And so we abuse that to our advantage. When you defeat Drek but don't end the game doesn't know, like, the game can't tell whether or not you've beaten Drek on other files. So what ends up happening is you get to the end of Velden and Drek never spawns. So that is direct skip. I'm not going to be doing it in this particular run, but it ends up saving quite a large chunk of time because you don't have to do the final Drek sequence at all. So let's give this a go here. All right. We're going to get this started. So we would time this on 4, 3, 2, well, never mind. We're just going to start.
Alright.
Let's see. I have to go in-level movies. Okay, yeah, this is fine. It's going to take me a little bit to get over here. But we're going to use Walloper. So we don't have charge boots in this game. So what we have to do instead, we have to store momentum how we can. So we use the Walloper to gain momentum, and we pause and use an in-level movie to store that momentum. So it's sort of like pseudo charge boots in a way.
Got it.
And here, there's different kinds of... I lost all my momentum there. That's okay. I'm going to pull out the PDA just for safety's sake. Right here. There's a lot of ways you can do this Walloper tech. Oh, also here's infinite jumps. So you can use the PDA to ground yourself very simply in this game. Oops, did not mean to do that. So that's the end of Velden. The average good Velden takes about 20 seconds. That took me significantly longer. But that's okay. It's not necessarily about speed. I'm mostly just trying to show off some cool stuff here.
Yeah. No, the PDA thing is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know why that works. You have to hold L1 as you do it. It's the same idea as in Up Your Arsenal, where you have to... Oh goodness, it's locking onto the boxes. You have to manipulate your grounded state through use of L1. That's okay. Wrench lock on kind of messed me up there. That's alright. Yeah, this game is quite the culprit for locking onto things that you don't mean it to. So you just kind of have to be careful sometimes as far as, you know, what you're doing and when you're doing it. I'm going to pull out the Rhino. What do I do here? Walloper, and then... Where's the Rhino? Oh, we normally have the Rhino on the secondary weapon. I forgot. Okay, so again, like, game stores things. It stores what you had in your inventory as you are transitioning between files. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to double tap triangle to pull out the Rhino while I'm in the in-level cutscene. And then I'm going to step on the tram as the cutscene activates to propel myself upwards. And that was actually pretty decent. I'm very okay with what just transpired.
Nice.
Seeing this Facebook comment in the chat from Josh Smith makes me wonder, how often do you guys get asked about PS4 ports?
Oh, all the time. Obviously, you know, the only Ratchet and Clank game you can play on PS4 is the one that came out for PS4. It'd be great if you could play the others, but that's up to Sony, because they're the publisher and they own all the games, and we don't make ports here ourselves. We don't do ports. We just, you know, work on new stuff. So
I'm realizing right now one of the biggest reasons why this is so difficult for me is because my wrist doesn't normally hurt when I'm doing a lot of this stuff unless I'm pressing multiple buttons at the same time. And to do a proper Walloper, you have to press quite a few things properly, and you know.
So this is now very much you're into your injury.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll be able to get through this. Oh, that was a PDA side flip, by the way. We used that to gain height. And now we have the helipack, so we can do a couple more fancy things here. So that's... Hang on, sorry, I just gotta focus real quick here. So you do PDA side flips to get up, and we do what are called mid-air long jumps to get a lot of speed. So This game is very unique in so much that you can cancel a side flip into a long jump and a long jump into a side flip. And so you're going to see, like, that's a mid-air long jump. You can kind of see he does a side flip in animation before doing the long jump.
Right.
And that's super useful. You can only do that once or twice on most surfaces, but there are some surfaces... whoops. Hold on. I'm not used to the style of movement here because this is like tank motion.
Right. You have to turn him.
Maybe that worked? No, it did not. I did not get train skip. That's okay. I kind of had a little bit too much forward momentum going through there. But you can use the Visibomb to cancel the animation of entering this so that you can continue to move while this train is moving.
Oh, I see. So then you get closer to the front.
Yeah, die. I'm just going to run through this real quick. Let me get the Tesla Claw out so I don't actually die here.
And I only got 1 hit point left.
Yeah, we're good.
You're good. Gotta get that info bot.
What was I gonna say? I forget what I was saying. Oh yeah, we can do that on. We can do a lot of crazier stuff on different surfaces. So I'll make sure I show you guys that. You guys will all see. If you haven't seen infinite long jumps or cineflips, as we there's a very specific iteration of infinite long jumps called cineflips. I'll explain it a little bit. But that's the first 3 planets over and done with. Those are some of the trickier ones. And now, this game is kind of very conveniently paced for a speedrun. So the first few planets center around a lot of walloper technology. And then you have clips. So you use the decoy to clip through walls. And then you're kind of done with the decoy for a while. And then you're obviously done with the walloper as well. And then you do your infinite long jumps. And then, it escalates very naturally. So clips tend to be a little bit precise, but if you know the certain clip spots, you can just clip right through to the end of Blarg. And now we're done with Eudora. Or I'm sorry, Blarg. You can clip right through that door at the end of what is supposed to be the end of Eudora, but it's stored right at the beginning for the sake of designing convenience. We're going to do the same sort of idea here on Blarg. Many of you will remember the self-destruct escape sequence. Turns out that the infobot is stored, I'm going to bonk, that's okay, is stored at the very, very beginning of where the chase sequence would be, so on this ship right here. And so all you have to do is just clip through the wall and collect the infobot.
Of course it's right by where you come in.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a little bit of a tricky thing right here, but if I just do a very... Like, the clips on PS3 are super duper precise. Like, I've kind of joked before that on PS2... Yeah, that happens sometimes. Let me see here. The clips mess up everybody eventually. It's hard to get these consistently. Let me see. So I might be a little bit too close to the wall. Yeah.
Then you have to kill your own decoy after you leave it.
Yeah, so you can see why this gets frustrating from a speedrunning perspective sometimes, especially if you just mess this up a little bit too many times. This should work. There we go. And then we clip out right here. Did that work? Oh my god, that was weird. It almost worked though.
Yeah, it looked like you were going through.
Yeah, you can usually tell if you're about to get it because the game lags tremendously. There we go, that should work. Yeah. Let me see. L1 as I'm pressing start, let go of L1, hit triangle, and we just warp through the pod. We don't have to take the pod cutscene.
Oh man.
So there are I'm just gonna put this out there. I am not good at this game right now. If I were to sit down with this game for a couple months and just seriously grind it, it'd be a lot better. I didn't have the chance to really sit down and de-rust a lot of it because of my wrist. But
still looks pretty good to me.
All right, as long as it looks good to you, that's all that matters. All right, so
maybe they won't meme you as bad for this one. What?
Yeah, I'll explain it later.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So remember how I said that you could cancel long jumps into side flips and side flips into long jumps?
So that you're just repeatedly doing that?
Yep, on certain surfaces you can abuse it indefinitely. And so that specifically was called cineflips. These are infinite long jumps. There's a very slight difference between them. So infinite long jumps. That was actually not a bad railguard, all things considered.
Yeah.
But yeah, so infinite long jumps, we specifically, well, not specifically, but we do them with the D-pad. It's side flip canceled into long jump, canceled into side flip. Cineflips are side flips canceled into side flips. Oh yeah, let me see if I can remember how to do this. I have to hold L1. Oh. Okay, good. So now I have Ghost Ratchet, so the speed cap is removed. So I'll pick up infinite speed as I do this. And we skip right to the end of Umbris. And you can see, here's the boss, and we just completely ignore him because we don't need to fight him now. We've already gotten the prize. We can just death abuse back to the ship.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That's bonkers.
So, again, to clarify the difference a little bit further, Cineflips, we do side flip and side flip.
Right.
So you have to use the analog stick in a very specific way. You're kind of going like 9.5 o'clock to 2.5 o'clock.
Right.
That's like the kind of the motion I'm trying to achieve as I do that. There's a little bit of lag there. I could have canceled it by looking in the right spots. All right, that's fine. Hold on. I can salvage this. I can get the cool momentum. Oh god, I did not mean to do that. Okay, I'm dead. No, I'm not.
Wait.
Okay, we're living. We're living. Alright, so I would normally, if it didn't lock onto that guy, I would normally... Oh goodness. I think I know what I'm doing wrong, but it's just hard for me to adjust on the fly because I'm very inexperienced right now. Acrox, listen, any other Ratchet 1 runner could have come to this event, but they didn't. I'm the only one, so I'm all you get.
Drew1928 was upset he didn't know about your wrist.
Wait, who was this?
I don't know. I assumed you knew him. He's like, how did I not know about your wrist? Drew1928. I saw that earlier.
I'm gonna try to do this. This is tough.
Now he's sighing, so... Someone said this is a great casual playthrough. I think that's shade.
Oh, that's absolutely shade.
Nice casual.
Now Drew1928's like, Zem better remember me.
True. Okay, Drew. I know a lot of Drews. It just depends on which real-life Drew that you are. I assume I know you from real life. I don't know. I'm in trouble no matter what. I'm in trouble with everybody.
I will say, if it makes you feel better, I ran into someone yesterday. I was in my neighborhood, and I was just like going out and running some errands, and I ran into someone who I know who's like a PR, who does PR in the game industry, and I know her, but like it was so out of context where she was like in workout clothes, and was like sitting, I was like, I know your face. Why am I blank? And I just like totally blanked. I was like, and I felt so terrible.
It happens, you know.
It's like, oh, of course I know you. I'm like, oh, good. And I'm like, okay, you live in my neighborhood. Now I will know if I see you around, because you do live around here.
I went to Gaspar first instead of Workson, and that's not really that bad, but
not the optimal.
Not what I wanted to do. We'll make it work.
Oh, Gaspar. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we can kind of abuse the momentum here. I could have done this a little bit faster. It's actually really wild watching runners who are really, really prolific at this category do the things that they do. It's just a very continuous flow of movement. And it's kind of awesome to just see it. Like, it's all just one long chain, which is what kind of sets this game apart from... This is, like... Ratchet 2 and Ratchet 3 are very easy to go between because they have the same fundamental movement.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what am I doing? Hold on. What did I just get? I'm not sure what I just did in the order that I did it. So we're gonna...
Grind boot skip.
I went back to Battalion. I'm an idiot. Okay. We're gonna make this work. Okay, I did need to go to Orson. Again, it's been a while. But, yeah, the Rack 2 and Rack 3, the movement is fundamentally the same because of the charge boots.
You got the pilot helmet, by the way.
Yeah. So I'll be able to... I needed that for Pokitaru anyway. Get the coordinates for Pokitaru here on Orkson now. This is actually really cool. We're going to do a same sort of thing that we did in Ouya where we had proxies. Except we're going to do it with Clank now. So we're going to wedge yourself.
Someone said it's brave for you to stream your first Ratchet and Clank 1 playthrough with us. That's from Elephant Bones.
Oh, Tyler.
Oh.
So we're going to wedge ourselves through here through the use of in-level movies. And I think this should be good. There we go. and we just proxy straight upwards. And thankfully, the Poketara coordinates are just right there.
Bingo. So you get them right there, take an elevator right back to your ship normally.
Yeah, we can Death Abuse here. This is actually, believe it or not, a little bit faster than walking back. There's no way that frame was correct. Maybe this one. Almost. You can store upwards momentum as we're doing this. Ledge grab up here. And then jump back down to the ship.
Beautiful. Oh, so he remembers Tyler, but not the rest of us. Drew's pretty salty about this.
Drew, I'm sorry. There's so many Drews in my life.
They want to know the Walmart story. They want you to tell the Walmart story.
I am not telling the Walmart story on this stream.
Oh, man.
They can go to my YouTube if they want to hear the Walmart story. That is not safe for work.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do later. I'm going to go apparently listen to this.
Oh, wait, hold on. I should actually do this now that I think about it. So we have a meme where we always love just going, hey, like that guy does. So we love the guy, and we call him the guy because he doesn't have a name in this game.
And he kind of is wearing a shirt like the dude, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know if that's why we do it, but it's just kind of convenient that it plays out that way. Is there another? Okay. So I'm going to do a Visibomb strat here. Okay, I fell off the boat. That's pretty nice. Maybe I won't do the Visibomb strat. Maybe this is very brave of me to do. Maybe this is my first casual playthrough of this game. Wow. So I was supposed to do a strat there if I didn't fall off the boat. Oh, I have 1 health. Okay, this is nice. Oh God! I was not paying attention. I was reading chat. I wasn't paying attention.
The guy.
Well, you can try the Visibomb strat again.
I can try the Visibomb strat again. It's actually gonna be really cool if I can pull this off well. Okay, let me see. I think I have to jump like right here, and then wrench swing there. Nope.
Oh yeah.
I need to maintain my spot on the boat, like on this side of the boat, so that the fish don't mess me up. There we go. So I can use the Visibomb to kill these guys. This is an old version of this strat, but I don't know the new one, so this is the best you all get. I forget what I was saying before. I don't know. I'm bad at this game. I used to be good, but now I'm bad.
Well, you know, you're getting a graduate degree, and you can't keep up all 3 of the games at once. You kind of got to pick your.
Listen, they won't listen to excuses. You can try. I know this community. They do not listen to excuses.
Well, I think really the only people that should be able to give you any crap are ones that have faster times than you.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'd be like. Yeah, but look at the leaderboard. There's only like a couple people ahead of you, I would imagine, on some of these categories.
Yeah, for Up Your Arsenal, I currently have world record in every category aside from New Game Plus. Oh, God dang it. Alright, it's fine. It's fine. We're going to make this work. It's all fine. Yeah, I currently have every world record aside from New Game Plus because nobody really runs that right now. I don't know what I was doing there. And then for Ratchet 2, I currently only have world record in one category called, we call it PBSPI or 100%. The PBSPI stands for Platinum Skill Points Items.
Got
so basically everything that
get
carries.
Everything, yep.
Yeah. And for, like, I've had, okay, so let me lead by saying I have had world record in every Ratchet category in the OG trilogy at some point. Aside from, like, maybe a couple that have been added relatively recently. Like, in this game there's all check marks, which is the equivalent of 100%. There's that guy who's in the wall. I think I got both of the ones over here. And then in Ouya, I don't have NG Plus, like I was saying.
Right.
But in Ratchet 2, I've had every category, and in Ratchet 1 and 2, I've had most. You can cancel the standstill animation there by using the Visibomb.
Yeah, and then you get to...
and if I've done this correctly, which I believe I have, it has been a while, but you'll notice I left the guy behind. I'm going to pull out the Devastator and blow up these fish. And the game has a weird check system. If all the fish are dead and the guy hits a certain spot, he's going to warp. Like that.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting abuse of the checkpoint system.
Yep, yep. That makes sense.
And now we have the thruster pack, so we're gonna ground pound here. And if I do this fight properly, I'll have it done in one cycle. But sometimes, either through execution or through random ammo spawns, you cannot do this in one cycle. So hopefully I just need like a couple ammo packs, and I just got them both. Actually, I think I only picked up the one, even though 2 spawned. So that's 2. We're gonna try to get, or that's 1. This should be enough ammo. So now at this point, once a ship like that also gets in your way, that can't happen. You have to end this fight with 1 missile, so I do need another drop. I don't think I get it. Alright, I got it off of that guy. So you need 1 missile, or else the mission complete sign doesn't come up, and you have to exit the fight and then come back in. But that is Pokitaru. Oh yeah, I was saying before that we call him the guy because he doesn't actually have a real name in this game. In the PS4 game, his name is Felton Raz, but Rack PS4 and Rack 1 are not the same game, and therefore he is not Felton Raz in Rack 1. And if you think
Quark could have made that name up. He probably did, actually, to be honest. Like the guy, what was his name? Felton Raz.
Yeah.
Cadet, don't you worry, I'll always remember his name.
I'm gonna try to get the fast momentum here. It's gonna be a little tricky for me, but we're gonna make it work.
The guy forever. Holy moly.
So now you can see why, like, when you start to chain these things together, how it can get so much better and faster. So what we're gonna do, you normally have to get this bot around the various spots by using the swing shot or what have you. But we can just use momentum. I think I'm dead. That's okay.
Yep.
Wait! No, I can't save myself. That's fine. So we're going to try this again. Another chance to show off some cool movement. Yeah, that was too soon. You have to pause on a very specific frame.
Right, to get the momentum preserved.
There we go. That'll work. So, yeah, and you can kind of see, like, I'm not doing a great job of preserving momentum and doing a lot of these things, but it still looks really freaking cool.
Yeah.
So you can kind of use your imagination to see what it would be like when a higher level runner does this sort of stuff. Right now, the world record for this category is, I believe, 19 minutes 28 seconds by Franz Corp. We have a long-running joke because he's like one of the only Italian members of the community that he's a literal plate of spaghetti. So a literal plate of spaghetti holds the world record in this game.
Yeah. How does he press buttons at the same time? I thought, like, you would think he's kind of limp like a noodle, so it'd be hard to.
He makes it happen somehow. Wait, what am I doing?
Everyone's putting spaghetti emojis in the chat.
Yeah.
Spaghetti sounds real good.
And he basically, I mean, he earned the crap out of the world record for this game. It was considered one of the best Ratchet records at the time, and it still kind of is one of the best runs, especially this game has seen. There's a community member named the Rixer who had a 1934 for a very, very long time. That was off the back of like a 7 or 8 month grind. In preparation for games done quick at one point. And that record stood for quite a long time because this game is very grueling to grind. And so Franz, this is like his first and only speed game, I think. Maybe he's done a couple of other meme games by now, but he grinded and grinded and grinded for the better part of a year and then finally got the world record. And it was like a very cathartic moment for him here. Let me just do this real quick. I didn't hit it, but we're going to do a quick backup. So I'm going to aim for this tree, I believe. Yep. Okay, so the turret doesn't check your Y coordinate. So as long as you're under the turret, above the turret, whatever you want to do, as long as you are in the correct X and Z parts of the axis, the Y coordinate does not matter. So we up warp straight into the turret. But yeah, that was we have some other really wacky exploits we could do here as well. Like you can create a double Ratchet. So you enter an in-level movie as you jump into the turret, and what ends up happening is that maybe I should have killed these guys. We'll find out. What ends up happening is that
No.
there we go.
Yeah.
There is a Ratchet in the turret and a Ratchet on the platform, and so you can have one Ratchet maneuvering the turret and the other one walking around firing the Rhino to kill the planes. It's a lot slower than doing what we do here, but it's still a really cool exploit and kind of goes to show the power of what you can do in this game. Now this is one of the hardest planets momentum-wise to like preserve your momentum and have good movement here. I'm gonna mess this up, guaranteed, but we're gonna try our best here anyway with this strat. It's a really freaking cool looking strat. Okay, that's not it. I talked to the chief, he said that ain't it, so we're gonna try this again, but I'm gonna take it a little bit safer with a, you can do, with this walloper momentum, you can do a sliding animation, or you can do a standstill animation, and the standstill is much easier to pull off, but you don't get as much speed. That's fine. Let's see if we can... That's... Alright, the Cork... Basically, all you do is play well, and the Cork cutscene trigger is right here. And then... What do I do here? No, that's not what I wanted, but that's fine. Okay, I swapped out the Rhino on accident. I thought it would... Oh, that's fine. So we normally have to do that ship fight, but... As long as you get over here, the game assumes that there's no possible way you could have gotten over here unless you completed the boss fight. So now we're done. We don't have so when you properly do Drek skip, and you don't have to fight Drek, you fight 0 out of 4 bosses in this game.
Wow.
in New Game Plus.
Wow.
Because I haven't done the Drek skip setup, I will have to fight Drek for a little bit.
So you guys just don't like fighting the bosses, is what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like screw the boss fights, screw all the effort, effort, time, money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all the
hard
blood,
work.
sweat, and tears you guys put into this game, we just don't want to deal with any of it.
Well, I mean, considering how hard it is for you just to jump across that platform.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad you don't face the bosses.
This is absolutely the game to roast me in. Like, Rack 2, you gotta, this is just a morsel of how badly you can roast me in Rack, like, from a Rack 2 perspective. Like, this is the true, like, I am horrible at this game right now.
I wouldn't say
spot.
that. I wouldn't say that.
I'm definitely better than the average player, but, you know, again, like, if you guys look up the world record for this game by Franz Core in 19 minutes 28 seconds, you will have your mind blown. It is so wild how good he is at this game.
That's insane. 19 minutes.
Yeah. This will probably be somewhere closer to the 30-minute mark. Maybe, like, if I continue not dying, maybe somewhere around 28 minutes. So shave off a third of that.
That's the crazy thing. Like, it's not like, and I mean, I've seen you have, die a few times and have issues, but that's a crazy.
So I'm not sure exactly what the best thing to do here is. I know there's some strat updates. I think I have to have the roaster pack. Manto, you're not allowed to roast me for my air nose 2 if you can't beat any of my times. So you don't get to talk right now, Manto. So what we're gonna do here, the end of the level is right here, and there's a guy that basically this door is tied to a guy, and as soon as I kill the guy by throwing a decoy and letting the Tesla Claw pass through the decoy, it kills that guy, and then I get the cutscene.
The door opens, you get the infobot in your area.
Alright, so the movement here is super tricky. I'm not going to do any of it correctly, but I'm still going to go for it to show you what a skeleton of it would look like. But yeah, we're on the final 2 planets now. So we are almost done here. This is Drek's Fleet, or Drek's Feet, or Shrek's Feet, or Droot's Flute. Any number of weird things. Actually, I need to go over here. Any number of weird things that runners have called this level over the years. It gets. We like to have fun in this community.
Yep.
No, that's not what I want. Frick you. Frick you, as they say. How do I do this clip? I once held world record in this category. I just want to put that out there for all the people at home. I once held world record.
We don't know that. We just found this guy on the street. We have
Yeah.
no idea. We think he says he has a world record, but we don't know for sure.
We don't know. Yeah.
We're not convinced right now.
Let me see here. So there's a lot of textures that can really halt your momentum as you're trying to do this. That's fine. We're gonna basically we get the idea here. You just kind of go over here. You would normally store your momentum all the way over here, and then like, whoa, and then like just long jump and blast your way through towards the end of the level. But that's fine. I'm going to showcase infinite jumps once again.
Wow.
So yeah, you can just skip very long gaps. And normally you can save yourself if you mess up, because what I'm doing something called ground pound canceling right now. Which is, I'm activating a ground pound and I'm canceling it into a long jump. You kind of see Ratchet like thrusts upwards and then forwards. If I were to not do that properly, I would ground pound and die. You can save yourself with an in-level movie to cancel your momentum. But guess what? We don't have any in-level movies on Drek's fleet, so you just die. A lot of runs have been lost to that exact thing happening. So we're done with Drek's fleet, and now we're going
lost
on
a run
building.
because he ran out of decoy ammo.
Oh yeah, that happens. Well, technically you could just buy it with the PDA. You could use it for its actual intended purpose, but at that point you're losing tons of time.
Right.
Let's see. So, I forget exactly where you're going to do this if you're doing the bad strats. Which, of course, I have to do. But we're going to try this. Can I please mid-air long jump? I don't think I have enough speed, so I'm going to try this again. If I can get this, this will look really, really cool. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing wrong. The problem is that, like, normally, with a little bit more time, I can figure out what I'm doing wrong to, like, adapt on the fly.
Right. Instead of this high stakes environment.
So there we go. I can kind of do that. That's okay. I can kind of salvage this. So we're going to go all the way out of bounds. I can't infinite jump here, which I would... Oh, God. Which I would normally do by pulling out the wrench and swinging it in that grounded state. But over certain textures in this game, you can't do that. You'll just fall to your death if you even try. So I kind of have to just side flip
all the way there, and then get to the point where you can glide in.
Alright, so here's where Drek would normally spawn. I don't think it... Actually, it does matter if I spawn him in this spot. Let me keep it the thruster pack. It's not like I'm going to reinvent the wheel here right now. So if I recall correctly, I have to be at a certain height here. Although I don't exactly know how high up is too high up. I think this is about the right height. So now we're going to infinite jump all the way through these textures. And if I've done this correctly, you will see the platform where Drek is. And there it is. Oh. So normally with Drek skip, that button would come up and we would press it and we would end the game. But we have to do the Drek boss fight here real quick. Never mind. The death barrier was right there.
Oh no!
And I died. That's okay. That happens. That actually happened to me on pace for like a really good PB at one point in my speedrunning career. I'll do the old strat since I'm more familiar with that.
Wow.
What do I do at this point? Oh, never mind. You just do PDA sideways. What am I thinking here? So the death barrier is super high up. Jen, I'm just seeing your comment now
Yeah.
about running Ouya. I already ran Ouya. I did them in reverse order.
Yeah, so if you could go back to the beginning of this stream on your Facebook stream, if you tune back into the first half hour, you can watch all of that.
Oh, please. Oh my god. See, that's what happens if you mess up one time. And what's happening there, the reason it's eating my momentum... Could actually save this, but do I want to is the real question. No. The reason why I'm falling sometimes is that if you input these infinite jumps too quickly, it messes you up and you remain in the grounded state, but you just fall instead of swinging the wrench. So there's a lot of ways that these can go wrong, especially if you're rusty like I am. We're just gonna go up real high. We're not gonna take any chances here. Alright, this is more than enough height to not mess up anything else and to get to Drek and to beat the game. And since I'm playing, maybe I can show this off actually. Since I'm playing, I believe on the PAL version of this game, there is a very strange exploit that happens. Because things got messed up when this game was scaled from 50 hertz to 60. Mm-hmm. And so the biggest change is that the porositor ignores iframes. So it damages bosses on every single frame, just like what we did with the Rhino in Ratchet 3. So this should be good. If I die, I am actually the worst Rack 1 player in history.
Well, you said it. I'm sure they'll flip it.
Alright, so here's Drek. And let's see here. Let's pull out our Pyrocitor, wherever that may be. I can't tell which one it is. It's this one. Please. I don't want to mess up all of my movement tech here. Goodness. So we have to get really close to him. That's the only way you can ignore these iframes. Also the Doom bots. It's like the hardest way to hit him. There you go. You can see.
Yeah.
His health bar gets obliterated.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there we go. Oh, bomb is very fortuitous. Because he stays in place when he throws out those bombs.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There's Drek. And so now time would be coming up.
When you hit the button.
Yep. And time. I don't want to know.
No, you don't.
Don't even tell me.
You don't want to know.
If I had to guess, 32. Worse?
Yep.
36.
Yep.
Alright, that's fine. You know what? That's all good.
But we got to see a ton of the strats.
Yeah.
And skips.
So world record is twice as fast as this run.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Lincolnito found that trick, according to
Yeah,
the
so he... It's actually quite the funny video. It's so... Like, it's such bad quality because it's like an old, like, 2013 or 2012 recording off of, like, a really crappy, like, webcam or something like that. He had no ammo for any other weapons, and so he was on the PAL version. He pulls out the Pyrocitor. He's like, all right, let's just try this.
And then I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, you just hear him, like, swearing in French over and over. Like, oh my god, like, I can't believe I just did this. So...
Like, yeah, well, no, we would never have found that because no one would have ever used it.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, thank you for showing us all the runs and for coming to visit. I did want to make sure you left with some swag. So, you know, brand new Insomniac Games t-shirt. One of our...
So that you guys can see it as well.
Spider-Man E3 shirts.
All right. I dig it.
And this is even rarer and harder to get, but a special tote bag from... This is from our... employee rap party for Spider-Man.
Oh my
they
god.
Made these
This is
special.
so freaking cool.
So those people out there probably haven't even seen.
Yeah, this is
they'll
just
lose their mind.
really great. Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming in and spending time with us and showing us everything, and for all of your time with the Ratchet speedrunning and working on all of these speedruns, because we love watching them, and I know people out there do too. So.
And we really appreciate that. There's a lot of developers out there who, like, it's almost like a hush-hush, like under the rug kind of thing. Like, oh yeah, we know those losers are out there, but like, but you guys are actually, you know, I know we've talked to a bunch of the people who have worked on these games in the past, and you guys have been nothing but helpful in helping us figure out more about these.
Yep. We love doing that, and we love having you guys here. And so, thank you very much for coming in. Really
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Well, that's it for today. If you tuned in late, go back and watch the first half. There's tons. We've seen all 3 Ratchet and Clank games.
Yeah.
And crazy skills and exploits and strategies. Xem, probably one of the most prolific, if not the most prolific, Ratchet and Clank speedrunner. Thank you for coming in. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And that's all for today. North Carolina will be back, I think, on Wednesday. I don't think we're going to stream from here on Wednesday because we're all at GDC. So we'll figure it all out. And I'm going to go give Xem a tour of the office, and we'll catch up with you guys later this week. Bye!
See you, everybody.